Hey, what's up everyone? It's Dubbase here. Are you getting clapped by other players in Escape from Tarkov? Me too, so I've been on a journey to get better and better at PvP this wipe. So for this video, I'm covering my ultimate PvP tips that have helped me improve my game. You interested? Stay tuned. The first tip that I'm going to cover is actually one of my most frequently asked questions in my stream, and that is, why do you keep turning your head to the right and left all the time, even when you're just standing still and not looking at anything? Well, the answer is simple. When you move your head in Tarkov, the free look actually changes where your ears are positioned, and when you're using stereo audio, that makes the sound around you more three-dimensional. It's so much easier to tell where shots are coming from or where footsteps are coming from when you turn your head. It instantly makes it 3D and you can tell right away. The science behind why this works is not particularly important. If you don't believe me, I suggest try it for yourself and see if it makes a difference. The next tip that I'm going to be covering, I've got this one from watching a lot of my friends that are playing the game for the first time and they're just picking up Tarkov. Make sure that your crosshair placement is impeccable in this game. Tarkov has the most accurate hip fire that I've ever seen in any game ever. I promise you, if you're bad at PvP, try not ADSing at all for a full day. It's a challenge. Just try it out. You would be shocked at how unbelievably powerful the point shoot / hip fire is in Tarkov. If you want to improve your crosshair placement, my best suggestion is to put on the blue laser. This is the cheapest hack device, and the blue laser is unbelievably bright. You can see it in the pure daylight on any type of body. Turn the blue laser on and use that to keep you honest with your crosshair placement. You will see right away if you have sloppy crosshair placement, as the laser will be pointing at the ground, it will be pointing at the ceiling, it's pointing anywhere but where your opponent's heads should be. And you need to keep yourself honest with this blue laser, and then eventually, if you feel like your crosshair placement is good enough, then you can turn it off and put on an IR searchlight or something else. My next tip, we're going to piggyback on the topic of tactical devices, and let's talk about flashlights. Have you noticed that Tarkov is a very dark game? Well, try turning the flashlight on. This was my little secret when I was first learning the game. The flashlights are unbelievably overpowered in my opinion. They're incredibly bright. They really obscure the hitbox of your head, and it can just be really difficult to aim at you because if you aim directly in the flashlight, then you're aiming at someone's gun. You're not aiming at their head. So it's really powerful. And again, I feel like seeing is believing. If you don't believe me that flashlights are really that good, try it for yourself. My best suggestion for a budget flashlight is the X400, and in my opinion, the best flashlight is the D-Ball because that tac device has one of everything on it. You might be wondering, what do I do if my opponent has a flashlight? My go-to response is I turn my flashlight on too. If he uses it, I use it, and it's just gonna be chaos in there and we both can't really aim it much. If you have the time, there is a cheeky trick, which is that you can turn your brightness down all the way to -100, turn your flashlight on, and you'll be able to see perfectly clear, and if their brightness is not turned down, it will just wash out everything on their screen. I'm sure that even if you're a beginner Tarkov player, you've used grenades in other games, so you have a general idea of how these can be useful in PvP. But in Tarkov, there's three main ways that I use grenades. The first is to literally try to kill somebody that has been trapped into a particular location that I know where they are. The second is to create space between me and somebody else by using the grenade and using the noise of it to reposition. And the third is to push somebody off of the grenade, in which you throw it and you hear them run and reposition, and then you're running towards them and repositioning as they're waiting for the grenade to pop. But I actually wanted to go a little bit beyond that because there are some more tiny tricks that you can use with your grenades depending on which ones you're carrying. Keep in mind, they all roll in different ways when they're thrown on flat ground. The F1 grenades and the M67 grenades, they tend to roll a bit to the left after you throw them. The RGD5 grenade does a bit of a zoot straightforward line. And the VOG 25 and VOG 17 both have a hard curve to the right at the end of their path. You can use this trick to actually try to grenade somebody that's hiding behind cover, so just keep it in your back pocket. You never know when this knowledge might be useful. For my next tip and trick, this is something that I'm working on every day still. It's very difficult to ingrain this in my everyday playing, but it's to internalize the knowledge that if you can, you should always peek an enemy using your right hand shoulder. That's because your PMC is carrying your gun in your right hand and there's no way to switch to your left. So when you are leaning on the right, you are exposing the smallest amount of your body compared to if you're trying to lean out the left, in which you're pulling the entire gun all the way across your body, and there's so much more of you exposed when you do a left-hand shoulder peek. If you do have to do a left-hand shoulder peek, which it does happen and it is okay, just make sure that if you're holding an angle with a left-hand shoulder peek, use Alt-A or Alt-D to really tighten up how much you're leaning out. You want to make sure you're exposing the most minimal amount possible because you're already at a disadvantage using the left-hand side. Just keep in mind, I've watched a lot of really great players on Twitch, and the best ones are constantly repositioning until they have that favored right-hand peek, or they're trying to force their enemy into a left-hand peek, and that helps them win the fight. It's the small things that make a difference in Tarkov. While we're on the topic of some more advanced tips and tricks for PvP, this is one of the unspoken rules of close quarters combat that I really wish somebody had told me before. And that rule is the first player to reload loses the gunfight. In close quarters combat, really great players will try to bait you into wasting ammo in the initial engagement to force you to reload, and then, without needing to grenade or anything like that, they'll rush right into your room and kill you while you're reloading because you can't shoot back since you're mid-reload. And this is one of the reasons why running a 60-round magazine or high-capacity magazines is so important and good. And this also explains why BSG in the most recent patch actually nerfed the ergonomics to try to discourage more players from using the 60-round magazines. Because if you can use the same amount of ammo as somebody else and they're forced to reload in close quarters and you're not, then you have won that gunfight. So just keep this in mind. Really good players will always take advantage of this fact. They will wait for you to reload and push you. If you are forced into a situation where you need to be the first to reload, consider using the default hotkey of double tapping R to do a quick drop of your magazine. That will give you your best chance of getting a magazine back into your gun before your opponent pushes the corner. And for my final PvP tip, I want to go a bit more general and just say, never stop learning. No matter how good you think you are at this game, you're probably not that good, and there's definitely somebody better than you out there. If you're not a streamer, I do suggest try setting up some sort of recording software so that you can watch back your deaths and learn from them with a positive mental attitude. Don't underestimate your ability to improve when you look at your deaths as a learning experience. Don't let them discourage you, and most importantly, don't be too hard on yourself. Tarkov is a super punishing game, and when something terrible happens to you, it's better to just laugh about it, take a look at what happened, and move on and get into the next raid. It's not worth getting upset over, and the second you get upset, then that's the second that you stop learning, and right when you stop learning, then that's when you stagnate and you will never get better. You will just stay at the same level. So keep that positive mental attitude and keep learning every day. Hey everyone, as we're nearing the end of the video, I just wanted to put it out there. I know I'm not the best player in the world, and I'm very open to hearing your PvP tips. So chime in the discussion below in the comments section and try to help the community with me. Let's gather together some great tips for people to continue their improvement journey. Otherwise, please stay tuned for more Escape from Tarkov content coming soon on this channel, and consider subscribing to make sure you don't miss it. See you next time, Dub Club.